Hi, I want to take you to your calendar and talk about Haven, which is due July the 4th and is in a lesson 11. You can reach the assignment through the calendar going to July the 4th date and clicking on Haven, and it'll take you straight to the assignment in lesson 11. Or you can go to lesson 11 itself and click on it there. Haven training is something that is required by all the universities that receive federal funding or who have students who receive federal loans or any other type of federal support to provide to students so they'll understand how the procedures to report sexual discrimination, harassment, or violence under Title IX is enacted. Let me go back to Title IX, and I'm going to introduce you to the website. I hope you'll take time to read it so you'll understand how Haven fits in to your rights as a student or as a human, regardless of whether you're a student or not. This, although actually is related to being a student because it's Title IX is all about education and educational institutions. The sentence here talks about Title IX and really gives you the gist of it. This is a quote from Title IX itself, which was enacted in 1972. It says that no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. So as this sentence reads, essentially Title IX prohibits sexual discrimination or sex discrimination in educational institutions that receive federal funding, which is the vast majority of schools, including Gwinnett Tech. I remember when this was enacted, and when I was younger and this came into being, we in high school knew that this was a big deal because at that time boys sports were funded at a much higher amount than girls sports were. And being associated with girls sports at the time, we were always upset that the boys got more money than we did. And so this Title IX, I recall, was supposed to level that out. And we were excited as members of a girls sports team, being a girl athlete. The base of Title IX, though, was much broader than I knew as a high school student back then. That's why I hope you will go back and look at this. It's a shorthand here to look at the 9 things to know about Title IX, and each one of these planks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, is associated with the Roman numeral 9 is how they signify it here, but that's why it's called Title IX. It got 9 aspects about it. The Haven training deals with 8 and 9. Number 8 says all schools receiving federal funding, including public K through 12 schools and the majority of colleges, are subject to Title IX or are under the jurisdiction of Title IX rules. And number 9 says that schools must have an established procedure for handling complaints of sexual discrimination, harassment, and nonviolence. So using Haven as a way of training you on how to handle situations you might observe or be in is the reason that you're taking Haven. Not just you, it's every university that's underneath the college system of Georgia, which would be like Georgia Tech or University of Georgia, and the Technology College system of Georgia, which is where Gwinnett Tech would fall under. So they use it in first year experience as a place to capture the majority of people, since first year experience is required for every program to graduate through. So that's why being introduced to Haven at this point. I want to take you back to the class and away from Title IX, although I hope on your own that you'll come back and look more at this basis for Haven and the rights that you have, the protections you have underneath Title IX. I just very quickly slipped underneath Get Involved, this drop-down menu, and so it says Join the Movement. I want to just point that out as I'm leaving because it's still a very important amendment that you need to know about and be able to understand and take advantage of, understand the benefits to you of. Let's go back to the course. Let's talk about Haven itself. We're on to Chapter 11, and let me show you how to do this assignment. One of the most important things about this assignment is when you click on or go into Haven, you see EverFi login, and this is not a Gwinnett Tech associated organization. This is a private firm that is hired, I assume, by the state to deliver this type of training. Now, I have to take this training periodically, every year, for example. managers above me take it every 6 months. So we focus on this as a school, and every year we get an update or recertify on it. When you click on Everify and you go out of the Gwinnett Tech site, before you go, copy this code. This code is going to be important to get into the Everify website. It's the only credential that is associated with you and Gwinnett Tech. We don't know your name. We don't get, as far as I know, we don't get any of that. I certainly don't. And the only way I'll know that you completed this is when you submit your completion certificate, which I'll talk about in just a minute. I'm going to click on the link that takes me to this platform. It's going to take me outside of Gwinnett Tech, which means I've got to go back and pick you up at Chrome, and I'm going to take you to the Everify again. You'll see the word register here. This is what you want to do. And I'm going to click on register, and then I'm going to put in that registration code I pasted earlier that was highlighted, and I'm going to hit next. This needs to be filled out. You create your own password, and the age range, I just want to select here for you. It says either under 13. Remember, it's K through 12. That falls under jurisdiction of Title IX. Between 13 and 18 or 18 and over. So that's the only depth of the age brackets that we get. Other thing is, underneath this, it'll say sexual assault prevention for graduate students. That is correct. You're in the right spot. Even though you'll say to yourself, well, I'm a graduate student, this is the version that we use at Gwinnett Tech. I don't understand that, as I'm not responsible for choosing these platforms. Just know that you're in the right spot when you see that. You want to click this down arrow, group and class, and you want to select new student. If I had filled this out and hit next, I'd come to the beginning of this program and I would have a menu in front of me that you open up right here. And it says each one of the modules go through, and then a completion marker, incomplete or complete, and then the date. That's what I need for you to select, and I'll find one and upload for you. That menu is what I need you to go back to every time you finish a module. Just make sure that it's recording that you've completed it. So I take you back to the course a moment and tell you about Haven training and what you could expect to see when you're taking it. We're back at lesson 11. This tells you something about the reasons why you are taking the course, Haven. Let me tell you a little bit about what you're going to see. You'll be getting education about Title IX. That's similar to the website I showed you, but it's going to go a little deeper into how the amendments and each one of those 9 articles that you saw actually are put into practice. After you've done a short training module on each section of Title IX, then they'll give you a scenario played out by actresses and actors enacting something related to what you just studied. At certain points, they stop the video or the acting, and then you're given a choice to tell the people what to do next in this scenario. It'll say, if you're so-and-so, what do you think they should do next? And so you select from the number of options. In some cases, they'll flat out say, once you've made that selection, as I recall, this is how it works, that's not the best way to go. In other situations, they'll let you continue to the next one because your answer was, good enough. It may have been absolutely perfect based on Title IX. So there are about 2 to 3 scenes with scenarios started from the beginning where you make various suggestions once it's paused to, okay, this is what the person should do next based on your training, and then it ends. And one of the interesting things is it could end and say, this was a good resolution, it's the best, go back and try again. So at the beginning, when you do your training modules on Haven, try your best to take notes, or however you capture information, mind map it. Mind mapping is taught in your book on how to take notes. I believe it's in chapter 7. And note taking, wait a minute, I just passed it, and it's in chapter 6. So however it is that you practice taking notes or you want to practice taking notes, please do. So at the very end, you won't run into, well, that was a good answer, but it could have been better, and then you read the whole thing. When you finish, you want to make a screenshot of your completed modules. You want to complete everything and then save that, or however you want to upload it, drop it into the Dropbox for Haven. It's due Saturday, the 4th of July, but you know I've given you an extension until the last day of class so that you could juggle whatever you need to around the holiday and things of that sort. So if you want to, you can get it in by the 18th of July. This is worth 50 points. There is a 2-week window. If you get it in by July the 4th, then before school is over this semester, they'll send you back to your email a short reminder asking you to go in and just check off, do you remember this? Do you remember this? I've understood from students that takes 5 minutes to do. Some maybe have taken 15. I think this is worthwhile to complete this reminder. And so if you will submit a screenshot for that, at 2 weeks after you've done the initial training, then I'll give you 10 extra points on top of the points that were possible. If you take it at the very last minute, though, then I can't do that. If you do run into questions, well, I can't do that because we won't be in school anymore. So if you run into questions, I do want to point out that you can go to Haven itself to answer or get questions answered. So I'm going to take you back to Haven to tell you that, because I have, and no one else at Gwinnett Tech that I know of has any access to Haven. This is extremely confidential. And so when you run into problems, see where it says contact us. They have a 24/7 support, technical support. So get in touch with them if there's something that's stopping you from finishing the test or getting into, and it's actually not a test. It's just an education piece, training on Haven and Title IX. All right, that's the end of this video, and I hope it helps you complete this assignment. I think this will be very worthwhile for you, and I appreciate your attention to it, and I hope you learned something. Thanks.